They called it Null Sector. Built at the edge of a spinning black hole named Gravis 9. The prison existed in a place where time no longer obeyed the universe. It wasn't a facility made for correction. It was a place to forget, to erase. Once sentenced to Null Sector, you never returned. Your past unraveled, your name dissolved, and eventually, even your face meant nothing. Riven Calder remembered this much. He didn't belong here. He woke each cycle, or what passed for one, to walls that pulsed with gravity-induced distortion. Sometimes he would open his eyes to find the cell slightly different. The air might carry a scent that hadn't been there before. A fellow inmate could be missing, replaced by someone new. Time in Null Sector looped and folded in unnatural ways. They were trapped in a constantly shifting purgatory. The only thing anchoring Riven to reality was the fading memory of being innocent. He had been a quantum engineer on a Jupiter outpost, arrested for sabotage he didn't commit. The trial was rushed, evidence fabricated. Within days, he was here, transported through a dark channel toward the gaping event horizon of Gravis 9, encased in titanium and chrononium, the alloy known to resist time drift. His cellmates, if they could still be called that, shared the same fate. There was Kale, once a smuggler turned whistleblower, Aura, a linguist who had decrypted forbidden alien texts, Voss, a biosculptor who had refused to weaponize his art for the military, and Merrick, whose mind wandered between lucidity and madness, haunted by voices no one else heard. "We're not prisoners," Merrick whispered once, his eyes wide with interdimensional terror. "We're memories under erasure." Every so often, a flicker of identity would vanish. Kale forgot the name of his mother. Aura once awoke screaming because she could no longer understand her native tongue. Voss's hands, once elegant instruments of creation, now trembled with forgotten purpose. Riven fought the dissolution. He scribbled notes on the inside of his bunk, encoded in old engineering symbols. He spoke with the others, urged them to remember who they were. He couldn't explain why, but a thought persisted. They had to escape, not just to survive, but to retain the truth of their lives. If they stayed, time wouldn't just take their names, it would take the core of their being. "We're in a time sink," Aura explained one cycle, connecting fragments of gravitational theory. "The black hole doesn't just bend space. It warps memory, identity. The mind can't process nonlinear time. So it's not just the prison," Kale muttered. "The black hole is the prison." That night, or what resembled night, alarms blared. A prisoner vanished mid-sentence. His body stretched into streaks of light. The guards, more machine than man, simply closed his cell. No explanation, no trace. "I saw it in a loop," Merrick whispered later. "He escaped. Or died. Or both. Time's folding here. We're running out of continuity." That's when Riven began planning the impossible. The prison was built on concentric rings around the singularity, kept stable by gravitational anchors and artificial intelligence. Escape was considered inconceivable. Any attempt would lead to time shredding a body into raw energy. But Riven knew there were gaps, inconsistencies. He had seen a glitch in the observation feed that should have corrected itself. A wormhole fragment that blinked into existence and out again, just beyond the outer ring. That wasn't an error, that was an opportunity. "We build a time-stable field," Riven told the group. "Use the remnants of the chrononium linings from the abandoned lower decks. We tether ourselves to fixed quantum memories, anchor our identities. Then we ride the fragment when the singularity fluctuates." "That's madness," Aura said. "We'll burn." "We're already burning," Kale replied. "Only slower." The plan demanded cooperation from prisoners whose grip on reality was slipping. Still, Riven assigned each of them tasks according to their remembered skills. Aura mapped the temporal spikes through language anomalies in the AI broadcasts. Voss designed the spatial interface to mold the raw materials. Kale negotiated with rogue prisoners for access to the lower decks. Merrick sang the timelines, strange songs that warned of danger and opportunity. Riven never understood them fully, but they always seemed accurate. The lower decks were derelict, swallowed in partial time collapse. Riven descended into it alone the first time. What he saw changed him. A corridor stretched into infinity one moment, then collapsed into a pinpoint. He walked across floors that bled light, where his own footsteps arrived before his feet touched down. He salvaged enough chrononium to coat 5 suits, if they worked. The alloy was inert now, stripped of its time resistance. It needed to be recharged, an impossibility without access to a stellar forge. Until Merrick pointed to the old power core in the transport bay. Forgotten, sleeping, but still alive in some future past. Forge it, Voss said, before the timeline forgets it exists. They worked in urgency because they had noticed something chilling. Each of them had begun to forget each other. Kale no longer recalled Aura's voice. Aura sometimes stared at Voss like he was a stranger. Riven forgot why he had started the escape plan at all until he read his notes again. Only Merrick remained untouched. He mumbled about the eye, a window in time that had chosen them. When the suits were finished, they resembled nothing more than scrap armor fused with light threads. Each one encoded with identity anchors, childhood memories, birth coordinates, DNA echoes. As they stepped into them, a strange sense of clarity returned. I remember my father's face, Kale said, blinking tears. He used to hum while repairing starboards. I remember my first alien word, Aura said. It meant hope. Even Voss smiled. I carved a phoenix once, for a child who couldn't walk. Riven stared at them, heart pounding. You are who you are. Hold on to it. They launched during a temporal lull, a rare moment where the singularity's pull dipped, like an exhale in a storm. The AI detected the breach within seconds. Alarms flared. Guards deployed. Time twisted. 1 second became a minute. A minute became a loop. Voss was the first to fall. Caught in a ripple, his body began to rewind violently, age reversing until he screamed like a child, then faded into unbeing. Aura cried out but pressed forward, repeating her anchor word like a mantra. Kale shot 2 guards with salvaged pulse rifles and took a bolt to the chest. He bled in slow motion, collapsing with a smile. For my mother, he whispered. For all of us. Merrick led Riven to the wormhole fragment, now wide and pulsing with unstable light. The eye, the path out. You're not coming? Riven asked. I already did, Merrick said with a grin. In some other now. This is your loop. Time buckled. Riven felt his identity cracking. His father's face. His lover's touch. The sound of rain on metal rooftops. Gone. Gone. Going. He threw himself into the wormhole just as the singularity roared. Light. Noise. Then silence. Riven opened his eyes in a hospital bay. Earth. Blue sky through a window. Real gravity. His heart still beat. Doctors rushed in. Voices said he'd been missing for years. That a signal had been received, just once, from the Gravis 9 perimeter. They had sent drones, found nothing but a fragment of a ship encoded with one word. Remember, Riven asked about Kale. Aura, Voss, Merrick. No records existed of them. Their identities erased from all known databases, as if they had never lived. He mourned them every day, but he remembered, and that made all the difference. One evening, years later, Riven sat beneath the stars and thought he saw a flicker, a ripple in the sky, a shape wearing chrononium armor, dancing through a bend in time. He smiled. They had escaped after all.